You don't need a rich family, connections, or even luck. Just 1 hour a day can flip your entire life upside down. I've lived it. But the key is what you do with that hour. Stay to the end. That's where I reveal the only thing that ever worked for me. We all live with a ghost. It isn't a specter that rattles chains in the attic. It's a phantom that whispers in our ear from the moment our alarm clock shatters the morning quiet to the moment our head hits the pillow at night. The ghost's name is I don't have time. It's the most common, most accepted, and most destructive lie in the modern world. We repeat it to ourselves and to others so often that we no longer recognize it as a choice. We accept it as a fact, as unchangeable as gravity. We use it as a shield to protect us from the fear of failure. We use it as an excuse to justify our inaction. We have built our very identities around the idea of being busy, as if a packed schedule is a badge of honor, a tangible sign of our importance in the world. We wear our exhaustion like a medal, but it's an illusion, a grand collective self-deception. It is a self-imposed prison built from a complete and total misunderstanding of what time actually is and what it is for. Let's break down the walls of this prison with some simple, cold, undeniable math. There are 24 hours in a day. That is the great equalizer. No matter your wealth, your status, your location on this planet, you are given the same container. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, you, me, we all get the same 24. The average person sleeps for 8 hours. Let's be generous and say that's non-negotiable for your health and sanity. That leaves 16 waking hours. The average workday, including the soul-crushing commute and a quick lunch break, might take up 10 of those hours. So, when the dust settles, you are left with 6 hours of what is technically free time. 6 hours every single day. That's 360 minutes. So where does it all go? Why does it feel like we only have a few frantic, breathless minutes to ourselves before the day is over and we have to do it all again? The problem isn't the clock. The clock is just a neutral observer, measuring the passage of moments with cold indifference. The problem is our priority. The problem is a profound lack of intention. We say we have no time to learn that language, to start that business, to get in shape, to write that book, to be a better parent or partner. But what we are really saying in the silent, honest courtroom of our own minds is, it is not my priority. It stings to hear it phrased that way because it shifts the blame from an external, uncontrollable force, the clock, to an internal, controllable one, our own choices. Think about it this way: one single hour, 60 minutes. In the grand scheme of a 16-hour waking day, it feels insignificant, doesn't it? A drop in the bucket? But that 1 hour represents just over 4% of your entire 24-hour day. 4%. We are willing to give 40% of our day to our employer, 33% to sleep, but we struggle, we fight, we make excuses to avoid claiming a mere 4% for ourselves, for our own growth, for our own future. It's a mathematical absurdity. The issue is not a lack of time. It is a profound lack of respect for the small, incremental units of time that are actually available to us. We are all waiting for a miracle. We are waiting for a magical, empty 8-hour block to suddenly appear on our calendar, a day where the seas part and we are suddenly, blessedly free to pursue our grand ambitions. I have to tell you the truth. That day will never come. That perfect, empty, inspiring day does not exist. It's a fantasy that keeps you waiting. And waiting is the slowest form of self-destruction. The life you want to build is not constructed in giant, heroic, overnight leaps. It is assembled in the quiet, consistent, often boring dedication of that single hour. The 1 hour that most people squander without a second thought, treating it like pocket change. They trade it for one more episode of a show they won't remember in a week, a temporary anesthetic for a life they feel is out of their control. They trade it for scrolling through the polished, algorithmically perfected highlight reels of other people's lives, feeling a strange and toxic cocktail of envy and numbness. They trade that golden hour for meaningless distractions that keep their mind occupied but their soul profoundly empty. They are, in essence, choosing to be distracted from the uncomfortable fact that they are not making progress on the things they claim to care about. This isn't a judgment. It is an observation of the system we are all living in. Modern life is an architectural marvel of distraction, engineered to steal these small pockets of time from you. Notifications, endless feeds, breaking news alerts, they are all designed to pull you out of an intentional state and into a reactive one, where you are responding to the world instead of creating your own. The moment you understand that your time is not something you find, but something you allocate, the entire game changes. You are not a victim of your schedule, you are its architect. You are the chief executive of your own life, the strategic planner for your own future. You must look at your 24 hours the way a financial planner looks at a budget. You must decide where every single unit goes with purpose, and the most important allocation you will ever make is dedicating that 1 hour, that tiny, powerful 4%, to your own development. It is an act of quiet defiance against a culture of distraction. It is a powerful declaration that your future is more important than the temporary comfort of mindless consumption. You do have the time. You have always had the time. The real and far more difficult question is, do you have the courage to claim it and the discipline to protect it? The illusion of scarcity is powerful, but it is still an illusion, and you have the power to see through it starting today. Not when you feel ready, not when things calm down, not next Monday. Now, because the clock is always ticking and it is completely indifferent to your excuses. It only respects your decisions. Their silent growth. Imagine planting a Chinese bamboo tree. You take a seed, you plant it in fertile soil, and you commit to watering it every single day. For the first year, you see nothing, absolutely nothing but a patch of dirt. For the second year, you water it diligently, and you still see nothing. The third year, nothing. The fourth year, nothing. It would be incredibly easy to give up, to conclude the seed was a dud, to assume your efforts were wasted. It looks like a failed experiment. Most people would have quit long ago, but beneath the surface, a miracle has been taking place all along. A complex, dense, and powerful network of roots has been spreading, anchoring itself deep into the earth, drawing nutrients, building a foundation for the massive, explosive growth that is to come. Then, in the fifth year, something extraordinary happens. The bamboo shoot breaks through the ground, and in a period of just 6 weeks, it grows up to 90 feet tall. Did the tree grow 90 feet in 6 weeks? No, it grew for 5 years. For 4.5 of those years, the growth was invisible. It was silent. This is the perfect metaphor for what happens when you dedicate 1 hour every single day to a single, focused purpose. This is the principle of silent growth. It is the work no one sees. It is the progress that makes no noise. And it is the most powerful force for transformation in the universe. Let's do the math again, but this time let's zoom out from the daily to the annual. 1 hour a day doesn't sound like much. It feels like a negligible input. But 1 hour a day for a year is 365 hours. What does that number even mean? It's too abstract. Let's put it in a context you understand intimately: the work week. A standard full-time work week is 40 hours. If you divide your 365 hours of focused effort by 40, you get 9. More than 9, in fact. 9 and 1/8 to be precise. Let that sink in for a moment. Truly absorb the weight of that. By dedicating a single, protected hour each day, you are gifting yourself the equivalent of 9 extra 40-hour work weeks over the course of a single year. 9 weeks of focused, uninterrupted effort aimed directly at whatever goal you choose. While your peers and competitors are operating on a standard 52-week calendar, you are operating on a 61-week calendar. You have fundamentally altered the laws of productivity in your favor. This is what we call an unfair advantage. And the most beautiful part is that it's built in complete silence. You are not posting about your daily grind on social media. You are not looking for applause or validation from the outside world. You are simply showing up in the quiet of the early morning or the stillness of the late night, and you are laying bricks. You are a craftsman, building your masterpiece in a private workshop that no one else has access to. Your progress is your secret. Do you want to learn to code? 9 work weeks is more than enough time to become proficient in a foundational language like Python and build a portfolio of projects that can get you hired. Do you want to write a book? Most professional authors would weep with joy at the prospect of 9 clear weeks to produce a complete first draft. Do you want to build a business? Those 365 hours can be used to develop a business plan, build a website, acquire your first crucial clients, and establish a solid market presence before anyone even knows you exist. The power of this compounding effect is almost impossible for the human mind to grasp because we are biologically wired for linear thinking. We expect to see a result that is directly and immediately proportional to the effort we just put in. We go to the gym once, we look in the mirror, and we see nothing but the same old reflection. We get discouraged. We meditate for 10 minutes. We don't feel a surge of enlightenment, and we conclude it doesn't work. We quit. The silent growth model requires a different kind of faith. It's not a blind faith in magic, but a rational faith in a proven process. It's the deep, core understanding that small, seemingly insignificant inputs, when repeated with relentless consistency over time, lead to massive, non-linear outputs. It's the very principle that builds fortunes in the stock market through compound interest, and it's the exact same principle that builds mastery in any field of human endeavor. This initial period of invisible progress, the 4 years of watering the dirt, is where almost everyone fails. They cannot endure the silence. They cannot tolerate the profound lack of external feedback. Their ego starves. They need the world to clap, to like, to comment, to tell them they are doing a good job. But the true builder, the true visionary, understands that the most important work is the work done in the dark. It's the root system. The stronger the roots, the taller the tree can grow. The deeper the foundation, the higher the skyscraper can reach. That 1 hour a day is you digging deeper. It is you strengthening your foundation while everyone else is busy redecorating the facade of a building that has no structural integrity. They are focused on looking successful. You are focused on becoming valuable. And over time, the results of these two different strategies are not just different. They are in different universes entirely. The silent growth you cultivate in that one protected hour will eventually erupt into visible, undeniable success that seems to have come from nowhere. People will call it luck. They will call you an overnight success, but you will know the truth. You will smile quietly to yourself because you will know it was forged in the quiet consistency of hundreds of unseen hours. You will know that your success was not an accident, it was an inevitability you engineered yourself. Producer's mindset: in this world, at any given moment, you are doing one of two things. You are either consuming or you are producing. There is no third option. This is a fundamental binary that defines the trajectory of your life, whether you are conscious of it or not. The vast majority of the world spends the overwhelming majority of their free time in a state of consumption. They consume social media feeds, they consume streaming services, they consume news articles, they consume podcasts, they consume the products and ideas and entertainment created by other people. This state of consumption is not inherently evil or wrong. Consumption is necessary for life, for learning, and for relaxation. The danger lies not in the act, but in the dosage. When it becomes the default mode of existence, especially during those precious, unallocated hours we identified earlier, it becomes a silent, lethal drain on your potential. It's a slow leak in the vessel of your life. Consumption is passive. It requires little to no cognitive effort. Your thumb moves, your eyes glaze over, and time disappears. It provides a quick, easy hit of dopamine, a momentary distraction from your own life, a fleeting feeling of being connected or informed, but it leaves nothing of value behind. It is the mental equivalent of eating junk food. It fills you up temporarily, but it provides no real nourishment for your mind or your soul. At the end of an hour spent scrolling, what have you built? What skill have you honed? What have you gained? Nothing. In fact, you have likely lost something, a small piece of your focus, a bit of your mental energy, and most importantly, an irretrievable unit of your life. This is the default state that modern technology and media are precision engineered to keep you in, because when you are a consumer, you are the product. Your attention is the commodity being sold to the highest bidder. The producer's mindset is the conscious, deliberate, and powerful shift from being the product to being the creator. It is the decision to use your free hours not to absorb what others have made, but to build something of your own. This is a profound identity shift. It is the difference between watching the game from the stands and being a player on the field. The producer thinks, how can I use this hour to create value? Value can take many forms. It can be a new skill. It can be a deeper understanding of a complex subject. It can be a tangible asset like a piece of software or a business. It can be a piece of art. It can be a stronger, healthier body. It is anything that makes you more capable, more knowledgeable, or more resilient tomorrow than you are today. Let's make this concrete and actionable. Instead of scrolling through Instagram looking at beautiful designs, a producer spends that hour learning the fundamentals of graphic design using a free online tool like Canva or Figma. Instead of binge watching a television series about detectives, a producer spends that hour writing the first chapter of their own mystery novel or a blog post that shares their expertise on a topic they love. Instead of passively listening to a podcast for entertainment, a producer listens to an educational podcast and takes detailed notes, turning passive listening into active, structured learning. Instead of playing a video game, a producer spends that hour learning the code to build their own simple game. The action itself is less important than the intention behind it. The intention is to build, to create, to add to the world, not just take from it. Adopting this mindset is not easy. It requires you to fight against the powerful current of modern culture. The path of consumption is a gentle, warm, downward flowing river. It pulls you along effortlessly. The path of production is an uphill climb, especially at first. It requires effort, focus, and the willingness to be deeply uncomfortable. In the beginning, your creations will not be very good. Your first drawing will be clumsy. Your first piece of code will have bugs. Your first business idea might fail. This is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you have begun. This is part of the sacred process. The consumer laughs at the imperfect creations of the beginner. The producer respects the effort because they know that every master was once a clumsy, struggling beginner. The producer understands that the act of creating in and of itself is the victory. The reward for production is fundamentally different from the reward for consumption. The dopamine hit from a social media like is fleeting, shallow, and leaves you wanting more. The deep, resonant satisfaction that comes from solving a difficult problem, finishing a challenging project, or seeing a tangible improvement in your own skills is lasting and nourishing. It builds real self-respect. It builds unshakable confidence. It builds a powerful sense of agency over your own life. When you spend your precious free hour producing, you are sending a powerful message to your subconscious mind. I am in control. I am a builder. My time is valuable, and I will invest it in my own growth. This single shift in identity from a passive consumer to an active producer is the true secret of those who achieve extraordinary things. They are not necessarily smarter or more talented. They have simply made a different choice about what to do with their time. They have chosen to build a necessary grind. There is a myth that we have been sold, a dangerous and seductive fantasy that poisons our ambitions before they can even take root. It is the myth of motivation. We see the successful entrepreneur, the world-class athlete, the renowned artist, and we imagine them leaping out of bed every single morning, filled with a boundless, electrifying passion and an unquenchable fire to do their work. We believe that the key to their success is this magical feeling, this constant state of ecstatic inspiration. And because we don't feel that way when our alarm goes off, we believe we are broken. We wait for motivation to strike us like a bolt of lightning before we begin, but it rarely, if ever, does. This is a fundamental, crippling misunderstanding of how greatness is forged. Motivation is a feeling. It's an emotion. And like all emotions, it is fickle, unreliable, and fleeting. Motivation is a fair-weather friend. It is the spark that might, on a good day, start the engine, but it is not the fuel that keeps it running on the long, hard road to your destination. The fuel, the high-octane, all-weather, endlessly reliable fuel, is discipline. Discipline is the engine. Discipline is the quiet, unglamorous, and brutally effective force that gets things done when inspiration has long since abandoned you. Discipline is showing up for your designated hour when you are the least motivated to do so. It is sitting down to write when your mind feels like a blank, static-filled desert. It is lacing up your running shoes when your body is screaming to stay on the warm, comfortable couch. It is opening the textbook when you are tired, bored, and seeing absolutely no immediate results from your efforts. This is the moment of truth. This is the necessary grind. It is in these moments of profound resistance, in this friction between your long-term goals and your short-term feelings, that real growth happens. 99% of people are ruled by their feelings. I don't feel like it is the epitaph that will be written on the tombstone of their dreams. They believe that the work should be easy and enjoyable at all times, and when it inevitably isn't, they quit. They see the boredom, the struggle, and the lack of instant gratification as a clear sign that they are on the wrong path. But the true builder, the person with the decade-long vision, understands a deeper truth. They understand that these moments are not a sign to stop. They are the price of admission. They are the test. The boredom is the forge in which your character is strengthened. The struggle is the chisel that carves away your weakness and mediocrity. Embracing this grind is what separates the amateur from the professional. The amateur only works when they feel inspired. The professional works regardless of their emotional state because they have made a commitment to a process, not a feeling. Their identity is not someone who feels like working, but simply someone who works. Think of it like a pilot flying a plane through a violent storm. The pilot doesn't rely on their feelings of fear or hope. They don't try to feel their way to the destination. They trust their instruments. They trust the process. They trust their training. Your 1 hour commitment is your instrument panel. Your schedule is your flight plan. Your discipline is your training. Your feelings, your boredom, your fatigue, your self-doubt are just the turbulent weather. You acknowledge the weather, but you do not let it divert you from your course. You fly through it, eyes on the instruments. This is a skill that can be trained like any other. The first few times you force yourself to do the work when you don't want to, it will feel like an agonizing internal war. But each time you do it, the muscle of discipline gets a little bit stronger, and the voice of resistance gets a little bit weaker. The secret is to make the act of starting as small and frictionless as possible. You don't commit to writing a perfect chapter. You commit to sitting in the chair and opening the document for 1 hour. You don't commit to a record-breaking workout. You commit to simply putting on your gym clothes and walking through the door of the gym. The initial resistance is always the highest mountain to climb. Overcome that, and momentum, a force far more powerful than motivation, begins to build. The profound beauty of the necessary grind is that it purges you of the corrosive need for external validation. When you consistently show up for yourself in these difficult private moments, you begin to build a deep and unshakable form of self-respect. You are no longer dependent on likes, comments, or praise from others because you know what you've been through. You were there with yourself in the trenches, in the boring and difficult hours when no one was watching and no one cared. That secret knowledge is a source of inner strength that no external success or criticism can ever replicate or diminish. So do not fear the grind. Do not see it as a punishment. See it for what it truly is, the path, the only path. Motivation is for starting the race. Discipline is for finishing it.